Well, y'all, I just got out of Sunday evening church. If y'all didn't go, you can look at it online at ours, but it's better if you go. It was good service. Lots of good stuff. But guess what? I also just got off the phone with who? Mr. Sonny D. Sonny D, I just got off the phone with you, buddy. And now Pop Pop's going to read that Bible to you. And I'm going to send it to you right after this, all right? It says, now you got to understand, when we are sitting in here, we're still with the new commands and a new covenant, right? But we're getting about to the end of this chapter, so we're wrapping that one up. It said, do not worship any other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. The Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights without eating bread or drinking water, and he wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments. Now you got to understand, we're talking about he was on top of the hill talking to God. He already broke them tablets with the covenant on it once. People made the calf, if you remember, had to go down and put the smack down on the people. But then he had to take God and say, hey God, I appreciate it if we didn't smack down like the people with your hand, because that would be dead. You'd get them all. We know you would. But he's like, come on, show pity on them. And then God did. So we're sitting here, and he has redone the tablets with the 10 Commandments. Good for you, Moses. Way to fix your little problem. You made a mistake by breaking them, but here we are. We're ready to go, right? When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. His face was glowing, y'all. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. But Moses called to them. So Aaron and all the leaders of the community came back to him, and he spoke to them. Afterwards, all the Israelites came near him, and he gave them all the commands of the Lord, or that the Lord had given him on Mount Sinai. When Moses finished speaking to them, he put a veil over his face. But whenever he entered the Lord's presence to speak with him, he removed the veil until he came out. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, they saw that his face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil back over his face until he went in to speak with the Lord. Moses had experienced God's awesome presence, and it showed. Now God would come down and reside among his people in the tabernacle. The holy tent provided space for the rituals of sacrifice and cleansing from sin that God required. Yep, God's going to require them of these people because Jesus wasn't there yet. Remember that. So they still had to do something to make an atonement for these sins, right? And that's how they did it, was through these sacrifices. Lots of animals dead, different priests than I'm sure are over in the Jewish people of today. I do not believe they bring cows into their wonderful synagogues. And yeah, that probably doesn't happen today. Different time frame, right? So they would do that though, right? The best Hebrew artisans used their skills in woodworking, metalworking, weaving, and embroidering to craft the materials for the tabernacle, including the lampstand, the table for the sacred bread, and the Ark of the Covenant. The ark was gold covered with poles of acacia wood, and also covered with gold for transport, and the specifications for all these materials were quite detailed, and the result must have been beautiful indeed. Yet the most awesome and important feature of this portable temple was not the furniture that filled it, but the person who filled it. We're talking the presence of God. His Spirit was in there, right? And so, yeah, it gets in great detail, colors and everything, and how they made this and how the different parts are together and how big they are. Checked in on the cubit, 18 inches. I must have remembered well from somewhere. Not saying that my reading of words was remembered well, but at least I remembered what a cubit was. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. In all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. Think about that. The Lord was right there with them, right? He was coming down. He's hanging out in this place. Fiery thing going up, smoky thing coming down, And there was the Lord in the midst of them, and all the people knew he was there. Can you imagine a big pillar of fire or smoke, Sunny D? Woo! Picture that. All you subscribers, and you non-subscribers, we give you the same credit. But can you picture God right there with all of that stuff in there? That's just crazy, right? During the year that the Israelites were camped near Mount Sinai, God taught them who he was and what he required of them. I am holy, so you are to be holy. God instructed his people to bring specific offerings to the tabernacle: burnt offerings, grain offerings, fellowship offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings. The line of priests was anointed, and an intricate system of animal sacrifices was instituted for the atonement of the people's sins. The Hebrews learned God's law about marriage and divorce, appropriate sexual relations, punishment for murder and robbery, and how to make restitution for wrongs. God desired that his people become compassionate, merciful, and just. The promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was now a reality, and this new nation was to be different, so that the entire world would know and worship the one true God, the very source of life and hope. Wow. And then I've got a little footnote down here, and it says, anoint it, to pour oil on a person, usually on their head, as a ceremonial symbol, setting him or her apart for blessing or special service to God. An object can also be anointed to show its sacredness or significance in worship. The term anointed can sometimes be interchanged with choose, as in the phrase God's anointed. I think that should be chosen then, because I wouldn't say God's choose. I would say God's chosen. Yeah, let's go with chosen over choose. Anyway, subnote. But guess what it takes us to the end of? Yeah, we're at the end of chapter 5. We have finished this new covenant. We're getting ready for chapter 6. Chapter 6 is the wandering. We're going to be talking about the time they're just wandering out there, right? Sunny D, this is coming for you, buddy. Are you ready for this? These people going on a mega camping trip. But maybe if they're naughty, God's going to say you're going to have to hang out on that camping trip longer than you expected. That's why we don't want to be naughty, right? In fact, I think they're going to be out there for a long time. So, the wandering. On the 20th day of the second month of the second year, the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle of the covenant law. Then the Israelites set out from the desert of Sinai and traveled from place to place until the cloud came to rest in the desert of Paran. They set out this first time at the Lord's command through Moses. The people marched out from their year-long camp out near Mount Haven. Call it a camp out like I did. Bless y'all. Yeah, near their camp out near Mount Sinai in an organized unit, grouped according to the 12 tribes named after the 12 sons of Jacob. God continued to guide them with the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. He had rescued his people from slavery, shown them his power, guided their steps, given them his law, and gifted them with his presence. By now, perhaps, the people would trust God, his leading, but the Israelites continued to blame God for their hardships. Daggone you stiff-necked group of people. I don't even know what the term stiff-neck really means, but doggone you stiff-necked group of people. Why you gotta be like this? Now the people complained about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord. Oh, they complain where God hears everywhere. You can't get away from that. And when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed. So it consumed some of the outskirts of the campfire, burning, taking them down. This is Old Testament God. We're talking fire and brimstone here. Man, when the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord and the fire died down. See, God had a pretty good relationship with Moses. So that place was called Taberah. Taberah, because fire from the Lord had burned among them. See, that word wouldn't mean that to me. If I wanted to say something that said fire from the Lord, I'd be like, holy fire. I'd call it holy fire. Here come the holy fireplace. Yeah, but I wouldn't have said Taberah. It says in here in the sub thing that Taberah means burning. Let's call it holy fire. Anyway, the rabble with them began to crave other food, or the rabble with them began to crave other food. And again, the Israelites started wailing and said, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. But now we have lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. Somebody forgot to tell them about the quail. Wasn't there some quail in there? You complaining you had quail and manna, which is honey bread? Shut up. The manna was like coriander seed and looked like resin. I don't really know what coriander seed is either, but it looked like a resin, and I know what resin is. The people went around gathering it, and then ground it up in a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot and made it into loaves. Y'all, it's experiment time because I have never joined parts of videos together again. So we're going to see if I can do this somehow. And if I do, you're going to see this. And if I don't, then this was all for naught that I did so far because my phone cut off on it. All right. But we were just talking about this wonderful manna, and it told us that it tasted like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled in the camp at night, and the manna also came down, Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance of their tents. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant? To the land you promise on oath to your ancestors. Now, in some versions of the Bible, I think it says that's like a nursing infant, not a nurse carries an infant, but like I think it was meaning like mothers nursing infants, right? Yeah. Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, give us meat to eat. Quail. I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin. He said, kill me. Don't let me face ruin. The Lord said to Moses, tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. The Lord heard you and when you wailed, if only we had meat to eat. We were better off in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it. You will not eat it for just 1 day or 2 days or 5 or 10 or 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and you loathe it, because you have rejected the Lord who is among you, and have wailed before him, saying, why did we enter Egypt? Top of page 73, y'all. We're going to leave it at that today. Hey, look, Son D, I'm sending this right to you this time too. But I love y'all. I love all y'all, my viewers, my subscribers, my commenters, my thumbs up likers. Love y'all, and I appreciate the fact that you're on this journey of the story with me. If you got anything to tell me, any thoughts or anything, hey, interact. This is a two-way thing. Where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am, kind of not me, God, him, that dude, not this dude. But interact. Go ahead. Put something in there. Say, dude, these are not of any use for me. And then that's cool too. But I started reading it, so I feel like I should finish reading it. All right. But I love y'all. I hope you have a blessed day. I hope it's amazing for you. Love y'all. Bye.